Kingdom citizens, we are back in the building. Kingdom citizens, Kingdom Ox, all over social media. You know what to do, man. I have a living trailblazing legend in here with me today. I have an intro for him, so here we go. A trailblazing Christian hip hop artist and producer hailing from Cincinnati, Ohio. He has made significant contributions to Christian hip hop scene, both as a performer and producer. His production work includes credits on Lecrae, Flame, Derek Minor, Shobaraka, and others. As an artist, his albums have charted on Billboard Gospel and Heat Seekers list. Known for his dynamic performances and authentic storytelling, he continues to inspire audiences worldwide. Kingdom citizens, give it up for the young OG K-Drama. What's going on, bro?
Oh, I need that intro, man. That was fire.
Yo, I'm glad you came through, bro. I'm so glad, man. I know so many people. I call you a young OG, man. You know what I'm saying? You've been putting in work for years and years and years. But man, let everybody know your story, bro. Let's just start from the beginning, man. How did you grow from who your mama know you as to K-Drama, man? Let's talk about that. How was it growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio?
I really enjoyed my childhood, but also I think as a lot of kids, you don't realize everything that's going on, even if you see like certain bits and pieces that are kind of off. You tend to look at it through a child's lens. So like, as a lot of 80s babies, like I spent my time playing video games, riding my bike, hanging with my friends, playing basketball, and wasn't really thinking about music from a creative aspect. It was more like, hey, all the kids know certain songs at school, like, Bone Thugs and Harmony. They from Cleveland, so we were singing Bone Thugs. You would hear Bone Thug songs on the radio, and then we was, your assignment in the 5th grade was to make sure you knew the lyrics so everybody could sing along during class. It was one of those kind of things. So yeah, I enjoyed my childhood, but it was a lot of challenges. It was one of those things where we weren't homeless, but we didn't own a home, like, so to say. We lived with my grandma and my grandpa. So like, I didn't realize, like, in certain aspects we were homeless. My dad was he used drugs, and my mom was just trying to cope and just trying to live day to day, with, it was moments where, like, I remember my mom and we would meet my dad. He used to do like these labor ready, like you get paid at the end of the day type jobs. And we would meet him, at the job site, because we knew, like, if we didn't intercept that check, like, that check was going, to drugs. And so we were wow. I got a field trip tomorrow. I need school shoes, we need groceries for the week. So it was a lot of that. Like, my dad was in and out of jail. I used to visit him, which was like I would talk to him through the glass, without my mom. It was one of those things where my mom would send me to this spot called Queen's Gate, and I would go and I, do the fist bump through the glass, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, I didn't really think about it at the time, but even now I think there's a lot of that I'm trying to unravel, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I think on the flip side, I think it built a lot of resilience, a lot of dependence on, I didn't realize it at the time, but, like, I mean, the amount of faith we had to trust in God that, hey, like, I don't even see how we're going to make it out of a lot of these situations, especially the older I got. Like, really, like, God is our cornerstone. And I saw that, like, my mom became a believer when I was, like, in the 2nd grade. So I saw the shift. And I believed in God, but I wasn't a Christian. Like,
gotcha.
One of those things where I went to church on Sunday, I quoted the scriptures, I knew the word of God, but I was doing it more so, like, for that affirmation that I wasn't getting from my father. Like, I was doing it to get the church mother to say, oh, he's smart, he's a kid, but then Monday through Friday, like, at school, I was living the polar opposite lifestyle, just because I was chasing that attention. You know, I wanted girls to think I was cute. I wanted the guys to think, you know, I had nice shoes and nice gear. And so that was really how I was living my life till about 8th grade. And 8th grade was when I really made a turnaround.
Got you. Did you, going back to what you just said, that's very interesting that you said that I was a Christian or I was acting like a Christian for acceptance. I've never heard that. That's the first time I ever heard somebody say that. That's crazy.
Yeah, like it really for me was a game of attention. Like it was like I really did believe I believed in God from an intellectual level, but not from a faith level. Like I wasn't. It wasn't like if you told, I used to tell this analogy a lot. Like if you told me there was $1 million behind my house, how do I show you that I believe that? I'm gonna go get a shovel and dig it up. But maybe if you told me that and I kind of believed it, like my faith wouldn't lead to action. Like it wouldn't be a deal where like, maybe there's $1 million in the backyard, but I ain't about to make a mess and figure out if it is or not, because what if it's not? And I think my life is more like, I believe God exists and maybe God will fit into my life when I get older. But right now, what I believe that fun is my God. I believe that I'm God. Like really, like when I break it down, it was like I wanted to appease myself. I wanted to feel good. And by any means, like I went about doing that via other people, via their affirmation, via their encouragement or whatnot. That's what governed my life for real.
Got you. And you knew that as a young age, like you knew like intellectually how you were with God, like for you to say that. Okay.
So like I think I understood. Like I didn't realize for some reason in my head, I was able to go from 1 to 2. So like I was a Christian rap fan before I became a Christian rapper. So like you got a lot of cats who they don't have that, like, you know, guys like my age and older. Like sometimes I hear it a lot where they're like, you know, like they're pioneers or like people that they looked up to was Nas or Jay-Z or these, you know, No Limit, Master P, like, you know, all these different artists. For me, I did have that, of course, but also my mom, because she got saved when I was in the 2nd grade in Christian rap, like you started to see like the A1 Swifts and but really for me it was A1 Swift, Idol King. And so and A1 Swift had national distribution. And like I didn't understand, like I said, I didn't understand that, you know, my faith was contradicting itself, like going to church and doing all these things was contradicting what I was doing at school and behind closed doors and with my friends. It was contradicting like everything performance based wise I was doing at church. But like I was a fan of both. So like I would listen to A1 Swift. I'm like, yo, this Knox dropped the bomb, you know, all these songs. But then I would listen to side A, side B, A1 Swift, and then I pop in Bone Thugs, and I was really attracted to that lifestyle. Like,
got you.
You know, they talking about robbing people and killing people, and I was fascinated by that lifestyle. Not that I didn't want to be in a gang or things like that, but I did hang around certain kids who later on they were the drug dealers in the neighborhood, and they were, you know, jacking people and all these things. I was kind of at this crossroads, like 6th, 7th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. and did you know like because the funny part is, I think that was one of my first Christian rap albums were A1 Swift. This had to be like 93-ish. So and then after that I discovered, like my sister gave me T-Bone and Lil Rascal, and I started discovering stuff like that in the 90s, but I didn't know about a whole industry about Christian hip hop until like the late 90s, early 2000s when I got down here in Atlanta and stuff. But like even that, like was A1 Swift and Bone like was it hard for you to like go like, okay, one of these paths is the real path and one of these is the devil's path? Did you ever come from that like perspective with listening to it, or was it just like this is just hip hop? Both of them are hip hop music.
Yeah, it was more like both were just hip hop, and I couldn't separate. Like I had a good foundation to where like I knew morally what was right and wrong as far as culturally, like American culture, but like
Got you.
Spiritually, Word of God, Jesus, like I wasn't nearly as mature. So yeah, I would flip back and forth and didn't really think nothing of it. But I'll tell you what, around that, whenever I think about Bone Thugs and I think about A1 Swift, that was when I started playing organized basketball. So I was always hooping in the backyard, hooping with my friends, and people thought I was pretty good. Like they're like, and I was pretty tall for my age, so I was approaching like 6 feet in the 4th grade. So like I thought I was gonna be like, just to give you context, I was taller than my best friend who is now 6'9", and he ended up playing overseas ball. Like, so like I thought I was on that trajectory, but anyway, like so for me, I started playing organized ball, and I remember we lost our first game. And after that, I started praying in the bathroom every day. I would take a shower and I would pray that we would win the championship. That was like, I would pray other stuff, but I would pray that specific prayer. And we went undefeated rest of the season, ended up winning the championship. And we blew the team out in the championship. It was like 48-16, 48-12, something like that. I had like 12 points in the game. Like I still remember. I don't know why I remember that, but it was good memory. I still got the, but like I think for me though, foundationally, like that was what really planted the seed. Like, like God answered my prayer with a yes. And I think I still would have believed in God if it went a different way. Yeah. But I think God used that as a moment to deepen my faith. And even though I went downhill for a second after that, like I started hanging around the wrong crowd. But like for me, I think that foundation, I came back to that 8th grade when my classmate died, Marquez Patterson. When he died of a heart failure, that's what kind of got me back into reality. Like, like tomorrow's not promised. You may not live to see tomorrow. Oh, this is what A1 was talking about. You got salvation will indeed be terrific, and all that kind of stuff. It started to kind of click like, okay, I don't have to wait till I'm 50, 60, to in fact, God wants me to honor him with my life now as a teenager, rather than so yeah.
Wow. So even that, like as a teenager, because I mean, as somebody who was in the church as a teen, I was just like on and off. You know what I'm saying? Like not on and off, but I was more like yes, I know about Jesus. Yes, I know about this, but I'm still doing my thing, still out there doing my thing. Was that something like you until that death happened for you? Was that the same way? Like you were like doing listening to A1 Swift, probably listening to other gospel artists and stuff like that, but at the same time was like appealing to your youth, because at the same, I mean, it's hard, honestly. I mean, even back then, I know sometimes if you play A1 Swift to somebody, they're probably like, bro, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I that's the question. Like, what it was that duality of your youth? Was it easier for you to walk as a Christian once you realized what after the death of your classmate, or was it still like going back and forth for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I found it easier for a couple reasons. And not that there weren't challenges, but I think those challenges came when I started rapping. Because you got to think, up to this point, I'm just a consumer. I'm just listening to music. I'm not artistically practicing hip hop at all at this point, like other than just listening. And so like for me, there wasn't a social aspect a lot of times. I think maybe if it was today's generation with social media and all these things, maybe it would have been a little harder. But I think because like the church I went to was pretty small, it wasn't hard. Like, I didn't feel the pressure of like, oh, you're a church boy. Like, I don't.
Got you.
I didn't, because like those lives were so different. Like, I went to church and there was a couple kids who I went to school and church with, but I mean, it wasn't really no thing. And granted, a lot of the guys I hung with did go to church. They weren't necessarily believers, but we all had this understanding of, you went to church on Sunday. Church is cool. Like, you know, I like Sunday school. Like, I like being in Bible study. We didn't have like Christian rappers coming to our church kind of deal, but I don't know, for some reason, like, I like academics. I always enjoyed going to school. So I think I just always enjoyed that aspect of church. I like reading the Bible and what is this word, what is that word, even if I'm mispronouncing it, even if I don't know how to spell it, even if I don't totally you know, I think those things were really intriguing to me. And then I think like 7th grade, 8th grade, when I was wilding out, like 7th grade, I was really wilding out. But to me, still, it wasn't like I wasn't like against the church. I just kept them very separate. And in 8th grade, actually, so I got kicked out of the school I went to was a college prep school. So you had to have a certain GPA, or you couldn't have, so you only could have 2 Fs. And I had like 5. And so I got kicked out of school. And then my mom, she was really upset. It was like one of the only times I ever got a spanking, and I got whooped like really bad. Like, she was going off. It was like all the whoopings that I should have got from like 5 till 12. She just gave them all to me at one time. And then she put me in a Christian school. So she put me in this private Christian school. And that's where I realized, I was like, yo, these kids they're worse than the wait a minute, what's happening? And so, but I didn't get saved. Like, I think maybe the environment did help, like, from just like, you know, there are certain things that just aren't tolerated in a Christian school that happen in a public school. But I think really, I think it slowed me down being in this school. But then I got saved after my friend from the previous school that I got kicked out of, because he was still going to that school, because he was only 13 years old. I got saved at the funeral. And then when I came, then I went back to that same school. I got my grades cleaned up. I pleaded my case with the principal. He readmitted me, and that's when people were like, yo, maybe this is just a phase. Maybe Regis, because he go, like, I don't remember the exact details, but I do remember like certain people kind of like, we'll see how long this lasts. Like, he'll be back to how he used to act, like 7th grade Regis. Like, you know, they used to say things like Regis is for Jesus, and, you know, kind of facetiously. Then I think eventually they realized, like, yo, I think dude really on fire for the Lord. Like, he tried to win souls. And so, yeah, it was an interesting time. Yeah, for sure.
Was Cincinnati a place where like the dominant religion was Christianity, or was it other things popping up at that time?
I would say, so you got this is where I kind of struggle a little bit, but like the basics of it is, so Catholic churches they're everywhere in Cincinnati. Like, I mean,
got you.
Woo!
Okay.
I mean, fish fry, you can go Easter time, like, you're gonna see a fish fry on every block, like,
wow,
kind of deal. So I think culturally speaking, like, a lot of your Caucasian white people are Catholic, and then the Black people are some sect of, you know, Christianity. Like, I mean, a lot of Baptist churches, a lot of Kojic churches, Presbyterian, whatever. Like, but yeah, so like a lot of non-denominational churches, of course. And so so that's a good question. That's good, because like, it wasn't frowned upon. Like, the average person goes to church in Cincinnati, like, and that's what makes it hard, because everyone thinks they think they're believers, kind of deal. You know, when you really get down to it, but you're not frowned upon from because you go to church or because you quote the Bible. In fact, that's in the water here. Even though we're not in the Bible Belt, it's still in the water here for sure.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you are like really Regis is for Jesus, like going all in, when did the music start for you? When did you say, okay, now let me become a rapper and rap this thing for Jesus? You know what I'm saying? Like, when did that happen for you?
Yeah, and at some point, I think something's gonna come up in this story where it's gonna be like, because I'm just like starting to realize some things, like looking backwards. But I think for me, so there was a pivotal moment, 1999. I went to a youth retreat. So the church I started going to, so my mom put me in this church. We had a Victory Outreach church here in Cincinnati. And I know a lot of them are out west. But we had, I think maybe my dad was in the rehab house at some point that our Victory Outreach church had. But they used to be on the radio. They would have advertisements. And so my mom put me in this church, not really knowing too much about the church other than she just had a good vibe about it. Unbeknownst to us, like the Pastor Ronnie Lott, who really he took me under his wing.
From the New York Jets? From the New York Jets?
Oh no, which later on I was like Googling him. I'm like, Ronnie Lott. And then I think he played for the Bears maybe or something. I'm like, why does this Ronnie Lott NFL player keep coming up? Like, I had no clue. Pastor Lott, he was a big Christian rap fan. Which is crazy because he was in the like great. So that's where I got my Grape Tree introduction. So like he was bumping like DCP, Antonius, Prime Minister. And so he would dub me tapes. He would make me tapes of different stuff. And then that's when I lost it. Like I started.
Wow.
Christian pop head. And then we had a radio show on his local AM station that 1 hour a week on Saturday mornings. This guy named Exocial, who actually was a Christian rapper himself, but I didn't notice at the time. It was Exocial and another DJ. They would co-host this show. They would play Cross Movement, I Am That I Am. They playing, all these different artists. They would play Prime Minister. And that's when I really became a Christian rap fan. Like, so I would go to the Christian bookstores every week. Whatever tape came out, I bought it just on faith, like that it was going to be good. Like if the cover looked cool, I would get it, like, kind of deal. And then some stuff I hear on the radio. So but I wasn't really into like house of raps. Like that was a little too boom bap-ish for me at the time. Even though I did like I Am That I Am, I was coming off of Master P and Cash Money. Yeah. So Grape Tree was, because Grape Tree had a lot of different artists, but the particular artists that were popular at that time really spoke my language, especially Prime Minister. I was a really big fan of his.
Wow.
So I was listening to a lot of that so I got saved November 98. So November, December, January, I was every week just listening to different artists. And then February, we went on this youth retreat for Victory Outreach. And it was in Pennsylvania, so it's like a 5-hour drive. Me and this guy named Brandon, we're just talking in the back seat, and somehow we learn about this talent show that is happening at the youth retreat. And so I love poetry. I always wrote poems, and actually I don't know why, I was really good at poems. My teachers will always give me just extra encouragement with my writing, but I didn't really think much of it. And then my aunt Denise, she bought me this keyboard, and I used to always just play the preset. You can play the little songs if you press a button, and I just will always listen to a couple different ones. Didn't really think much of it though at the time. And then I wrote, actually, I don't really tell this story much, but in the 7th grade, the only class that I passed other than study hall, which doesn't count, of course, is in health, right?
Yeah.
And one of our assignments was to like, I don't remember what topic it was, but we were supposed to like come up with some creative project. And so I wrote a rap in health class. Never rapped a day in my life, mind you.
Wow.
Didn't think none of it. It was bad. It was horrible. It was only horrible because I didn't rehearse it. I just like did it last minute, you know.
Yeah.
So, but what's funny is I think all of that culminated somehow to where when we were on our way to this youth retreat, I'm like, yo, like maybe we could write a rap for this talent show. Like it's a bunch of church kids. Like basically, like I'm thinking like the talent level is gonna be low. We should be able to get first place in this thing because we're competing with Christians, and Christians, even though I knew like Christian rap wasn't corny, like because I like A1 Swift a lot, but like for some reason I just had this confidence like we're gonna win. And so my thought was let's get the instrumental to Snoop Dogg's Woof song, because that song was really popular right before I got saved. I really like that beat. And so we used to, me and my friend Antoine, this was years before I started rapping, we would ride our bikes to Walmart and we would buy singles. So we love music. We would watch, videos, BET, MTV, all that. But we would buy, like, I remember buying Hypnotized by Notorious B.I.G. on, and it had, I didn't really think nothing of it at the time, but it had like the clean version or the radio version, the explicit version, acapella, and it had instrumental version. And I just listened to it, like, oh, it's cool, but I didn't listen to the instrumental version a whole lot. So that kind of came back to me like, hey, I think we can get Woof on CD, we can get the instrumental version, and then we can perform, write a little rap real quick, do that in a talent show. Didn't do it, but here's the crazy part. So like a revival happened one night, and the guy who was Holy Spirit was just moving through the place. Wow. And we're just crying out to God on our knees. I'm crying. I'm hands up. And as he's leading the prayer, I'll never forget this. He was like, pray that you don't return home the way you left home. And I was like, okay. Didn't think none of it. Just was like, cool. I'm going to pray it because he said to pray it. Right after was the talent show. Right after this big revival service. Go to the talent show. This guy raps. I don't know his name. I wish I knew this guy. I hope one day I can shake this guy's hand. He starts rapping. Or no, he don't start rapping. The beat comes on. It's the Woof beat.
Oh, wow.
Of all the beats, and it's not like this song was popular, but it wasn't like rapping to like, the #1 song on Billboard or something. Like, yeah. So all the beats he can rap to, he raps to this one. So of course, I'm hooked. I'm not like skeptical. I'm not like, man, what are you about to do to this? I'm like hype off the revival, just excited.
Yeah.
He does this song called Let's Ride. He's like, let's ride. And he's saying all these different things. And I'm just like, yo, this is dope. This is crazy. I'm just hyped. And then the next thought I had was, you're going to do what he's doing. And I know it was the Holy Spirit. And I was like, nah, because I didn't share this part because I skipped a lot of this. But like in kindergarten, I got held back. And like, I still would like to talk to my mom about a lot of this, but like they didn't feel like I was ready for the first grade for different reasons. Yeah. And I remember going to kindergarten, like I used to go to AM and PM, like my second year. I was like, I was kindergarten so long. I remember I'd be like in the morning, I'd be with the kids, like in traditional class, but then in the afternoon, I would work one-on-one with the teacher, and I remember like tying shoes specifically. And so like I was a really shy kid growing up, very reserved. Yeah. So when I heard the Holy Spirit say this, I'm like, nah, that's not like my first thought was, I'm cool on that. But for some reason I had this confidence, like, okay, let's do it. Like it was like really this duality once again of like I'm so scared. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I mean, I know it was the Lord. So as soon as we touched down in Cincinnati, like, I mean, you would think like maybe I'm tired from the retreat. I'm gonna go to sleep. Nah, I rode my bike down to Walmart, got the Woof instrumental, brought it back home, sat in my living room, which is crazy to think because now looking back, I'm like, I didn't do this in my bedroom. I did it for like everyone to hear, which I'm like, wow, that was really kind of bold. Like, because people could remember what you doing. But I remember my aunt had a CD player, and then my mom had this tape player, and I forget why I knew this, but like the tape player, you could, if you weren't recording the radio, if you just had it on like the tape mode, if you press record, it had a microphone in it, so it will just record whatever was in the atmosphere, in the air. So I was like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write this song. I wrote 3 verses. And I kind of wrote them similar to like, it was almost like Weird Al. Like I just rewrote what Snoop Dogg was doing, or what I think Fiend was on the song, and then I tried to do like my own version of Mystical. You know, Mystical is Mystical. Hard to be mystical, but I tried, you know. So I wrote 3 verses, wrote the hook. I played the instrumental from my aunt's stereo. And then I sat in the middle and I rapped those verses and recorded them on my mom's tape player. And that was my first song. It was called Don't Pass Us By. And after that, like I was like, yo, that was dope. Like I just wrote songs. I wasn't even trying to record them yet. And then my pastor, he saw that I had I just really think he was dialed in the Holy Spirit. I think all of it was like my mom not knowing he was a Christian rap fan. Like that's just stuff you can't plan. I think the Lord gave him some insight that I was writing songs. I did not tell him I was writing songs. And he's like, yo, I'm about to do this retreat. I'm about to do this outreach. Because they used to go on a corner, they would set up a sound system. They would play music and then they would preach the gospel on the corner, like in the hood. And I would go but I would just be a spectator, you know what I'm saying? But people would testify, and I always thought it was really cool. So they were like, yo, we're gonna do this big outreach at this school called Taft High School. It's a pretty popular school here, Cincinnati Public School. And he was like, we're gonna bring preachers in the hood. And I'm like, no way. Like, I wasn't a big fan of preachers in the hood, like, not because I music. It just was, I just wasn't really hip to what they were doing. But like, I was just hyped that they were signed to Great Tree. I was just like, you know, kind of just like, whoa, like these are big artists, like, and like you want to open for them. And I was like, and again, one of the moments where I'm like, no, but yes. Like I think my pastor realized I was writing rhymes because I had a notebook. I think that's I would catch at this point, I'm catching the bus, the city bus to church, which we had at a YMCA or YWCA actually. I would catch the bus to church because I was just on fire. I was either listening to whatever new music was out, or I was writing my own songs. No beat. I'm just writing it like kind of poetry style, but I'm imagining a beat. And then he asked me to open. I said yes. He gave me 45 minutes for my first set, which looking back is crazy. What world? I'm thinking like he could have gave me like 1 song, 2 songs, 3 tops. But I'm so glad he did that because it gave me the confidence that I spent the whole summer writing songs for this concert. I wrote 45 minutes of material. So I was taking songs from like the keyboard. I'll just play like the preset songs. I mean, cheesy as all get out. Like, oh my goodness. Like I'm playing the salsa beat from the keyboard. I'm rapping to that because I didn't know how to make beats yet. I'm just trying to get beats. I rapped to like JT Money, Who Dat, Snoop Dogg's Woof. And this is important. There was so I don't know, like just the musicality that God gifted me with. It's funny how I look back and I'm like, I've always had it. I just didn't know what it was at the time. I was listening to True to Society. They had this song called Let's Take a Ride, title track. Listening to the beat, and I'm like, yo, this beat fire. But then I bought God's Original Gangsters album. It was like, it's called the G Files, I think. Listening to this album, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That beat sound familiar. They both have the same beat. And I don't know. I want to ask Prime Minister what happened with this. Because me and him, we talk a lot. And like what I did, because I always like that beat. The version on True to Society got a lot of talking in it. They do this whole intro. But the God's Original Gangsters version, they don't talk on the intro. They just do this little laugh at the end right before he starts rapping. So what I would do, I would take my dual cassette player and I would record the intro and then stop it after the laugh right before he rap. Then I do it again until it's like 4 minutes long, not realizing I was sampling. I'm like, I just a whole beat, like no MPC, no nothing. Like, and it was pretty on beat. Like there were some parts where it was like, it was a little off, but like I was looping. And so like I did my first concert. It was a 2-night event. First night rained, but I got to perform a couple songs. The crowd was dead. They were not feeling it. They were like, oh man, I got discouraged. Like, oh man, like maybe I'm not meant to do this. But then for some reason it just tapped in. Like, nah, you just got to rehearse a little more, try a little better. It'll be cool. So the second night, never forget. I could see a woman and her 2 kids, and they was just standing up, bouncing up and down. They just vibing, like loving the song. And that's when I was like, I gotta do, like, I don't know to what level I'm gonna do Christian rap, but like I want to, like, at least hobby wise, like I had the bug at that point.
Got you. So was this the time where you like okay, I have to produce my own records, I have to start my own label, like this Click record is about to start? Like, what was your thoughts about all this at this time? Because I mean, to be honest with you, to have somebody that never had a stage show before to give them 45 minutes, it's very impressive. It's very like, man, like what I'm gonna do with that? I don't even know what I would have done with 45 minutes as a rapper. You know what I mean? So I think going from that point, like, did you take it serious, or were you still doing kind of like what you said, like the pause tape thing, or did you think about like, hey, I need to, this may be my career? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's funny. Of course, No Limit. For some reason, I think a lot of us did, but their marketing and their brand. Oh my goodness, just
top notch. It was top notch.
I don't know if that was. I don't know how intentional that was. I would love to know, but like, I mean, just the tank on the back of each album. And of course, it's diamond encrusted. And I just always was just attracted to that. And I always would look and it said executive producers. I think it would say Master P or it would say Percy Miller. I forget which. But then it would say like, I think it was his cousin, like Anthony something. It was like 3 people. And my thought was like, man, I want to be like Master P. I want to be, because I used to wear a tank to school.
Wow.
I had a No Limit chain, like a gold one. Like I bought it from the jewelry store. Like I used to have a baby one. Like I had a fake like Figaro chain, but then I had the real gold emblem. It was super tiny. And then I would save my money up. I don't even know where I was getting it. No, I know where I was getting, but I used to take my aunt and uncle's records and I would sell them to the record store. And actually, I took so many records, they paid me to stop taking records. Like, I'm taking like Bootsy Collins records, and I don't know who Bootsy Collins is yet. Like, I don't know the significance of him in Cincinnati. They like, these are old records that we collect. And like, so I think even saying that, like my family was always into music. They just didn't play
Mm.
music for me, except for my
Gotcha.
cousin, who I found out later was a drummer for Bootsy Collins. And so
Oh, wow.
I'm like, maybe I'm more in tune with music than I realize. I just, there's just a lot of dynamics. For whatever reason, I just didn't know that part of my history, but I think it's just in my DNA, like musically, like you're going to do something music related.
Yeah.
So like I had this weird confidence, despite like I didn't have a lot of experience. I was like, man, I'm about to start sending my demo. I'm about to make a demo. So like, I remember like the Jackson 5 movie and Temptation movie, like, like you kind of go up the rank, like you make a demo, you submit it to labels, and you try to get signed. So I thought that was kind of like my path. I'm like, so I had 3 labels in mind. I had Grape Tree, of course. I had Unity Clan, so Eternal Funk Records. And then trying to think of who the other label would have been. There was a third label, but I remember I recorded the same songs that I recorded because I actually recorded my live performance. I still have the tape, but the tape unraveled, so I got to get it fixed. But I still have it, so I'm gonna get it fixed someday. But yeah, like, so I was like, well, I'm gonna take my mom's tape player and I'm gonna just record these songs. Like, I'm gonna make the best version of these songs I can. And then I sent it to Grape Tree, sent it to Eternal Funk, sent it to the other label. Of course, I got no response because these songs, I mean, it's commendable what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm still rough. I'm very rough. But my thought was, maybe I'm not street enough. Maybe Grape Tree, like, I don't got it. I'm like the truth. I ain't got no horror story, So like, I'm like, but what did Master P do? Like, he started his own label. He signed himself. So I started my own label. That's where this click came. And then my brother, so I have an older brother. I have an older brother and an older sister. I'm the youngest. And my brother, Aaron, he saw, again, it was kind of like my pastor. He saw me writing songs, saw that I was like taking this hobby serious. And he was like, yo, remember Sean? And I'm like, yeah, I remember Sean Kenny. So we went to this Christian school. I went to 2 Christian schools. I went to one in the 1st grade. And that was a really cool school. I really enjoyed going to that school. And it was K through 12. And we would catch the bus. I mean, it was like a 30, 40-minute bus ride to this school. And this one guy in particular, Sean Kenny, he was on a bus with us. He was my brother's friend. Because my brother's 9 years older than me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm a kid and he's, young adult, and he just started this studio. He was like, yeah, Sean, he started this this studio called Hitmaker Music. It's professional. Like, maybe you could start recording your songs there. And I'm like, cool, let's make it happen. I mean, I just heard studio, didn't know if it was a professional studio, if it was not, but it was at least worth checking out. Yeah. So I go to the studio. I mean, state of the art studio. And then, so I'm learning later in life, like, oh, some of the biggest rappers in Cincinnati were recording at this studio. I'm just a young buck though, so I didn't know who was who. So I'm like, God was just looking out for me. Like, he's just putting me in these best case scenarios where, like, this studio, 32 track studio, they got MPC 2000 cell, wow. They got Roland XP60, XP80. They're recording on ADAT tapes, and I mean, state of the art stuff. And so, like, the studio was $50 an hour, which isn't a lot of money, but money we didn't have. But for me, I was kind of like, we've just always been scrappy as a family. So I was like, man, if I save my lunch money up for like the whole month, I can go to the studio for a couple hours a month and just make what I can make. So I went to the studio first time, like I got to meet him. He was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I go to the studio, I made 5 beats. He showed me how to use the MPC, and I made 5 beats in 1 hour. And
How do you do that?
Yeah, so like what I was
5 beats in 1 hour.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was really grinding. I didn't think nothing of it though. Like,
yeah,
because I'm just coming up with melodies, and then he would do the drums. I was scared to do drums. I would not touch drums. So like I would just play melody. I would just find sounds I like. I'm scrolling through the keyboard. I'm like, I like that sound. And I'll just kind of play one note. Because I did have a little musicality. Like I played trumpet for 3 years, elementary school. I was bad though at it. But I think I even though I didn't know how to play the notes on the trumpet, I knew what notes should go together. I knew
got you.
I played tuba in the 7th grade. Again, bad at it, but I did get a D in most of the classes I failed. So I was doing something right. And I was in choir, like I did different things. So I had some level of musicality. And I just think like all this stuff I was taking in, my family's musical. So I think it just all came out in this moment. Like I'm just playing stuff and not realizing like the average person isn't capable of doing this. I didn't think nothing of it. But I'm playing melodies, and then he would add drums real quick to it. And then we would dub it on tape. And then like I just kept doing that until like I had enough songs where I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a demo. Made a 3-song demo. And then I would sell that demo at school. So I had 3 songs. My mom bought a bunch of blank tapes that had no writing on them. So they weren't like Maxell's or Sony tapes. They were just blank tapes that she bought from like a disc makers. But we had a local company that did. We just bought like 100 of them. And then I wrote drama. And then I forgot what I titled it. But then I would take that same stereo that I recorded my songs, because I was trying to witness too. So like I would pass out dips. So I didn't say this part, but like 9th grade when I was catching the bus to school, same school that I got kicked out of, I was trying to pass out evangelist. Like I was trying to evangelize through Christian rap. So I would dub all these different artists. I put Cross Movement, put Prime Minister. I just put all my favorite songs on this tape. And then I put Don't Pass Us By, my first song. I put that on there. So I'll pass out these tapes. It was called Christ Ballin' Volume 1. I had a Mercedes-Benz truck. You can see like the No Limit influence, but like I was just trying to, flipping for Jesus kind of deal. So I'm passing these tapes out on a bus, and the people I went to school with, because I didn't even have class with these kids. They were all different grades. I would give them these tapes. Oh, all right, cool. I'm gonna listen to it. I'm like, first of all, I'm surprised they listened to it. Like looking back, B, they're like, yo, that was pretty good. Like, like I like it. Gave me. And I would record like a salvation message at the end. A lot of artists used to do that. You had the last track was the Come to Jesus track. And so I did that at the end. And they're like, yo, that 3rd song. Everybody kept talking about the 3rd song. And I'm like, wait a minute. They didn't know that 3rd song was my song.
Oh, wow. And that was original. And that was 100% original.
Now, it was over the No Limit beat. So I think that might have played a part in it.
Okay.
But regardless, the way I looked at it was like, yo, they like my song out of Prime Minister, LG Wise, DCP, New Wine, all these artists, they like my song was the song they remembered. That's what made me want to get in the studio. I was like, well, if they like that song, I think I can make other songs they would like too. And so then fast forward, being that they liked my first song, when I had the demo, I used to take my mom's stereo to school and I would play, because I didn't say this part, in the 7th grade, I used to dub No Limit tapes and sell them.
Gotcha.
Because there was a record store called Everybody's. Same store I used to take the records to, and so I was hustling. Like, I always been a hustler. And it's crazy, like looking back, like, and so I would take, because they would put the albums out on Fridays. And I don't think they were supposed to do that looking back. But because the albums didn't come out, they weren't supposed to come out till Tuesday.
Tuesday release, yeah.
I was like, yo, if you want to get that last dime a day early, I got you for $3. So I would sell, I would buy the album on Friday, dub them over the weekend, sell maybe 10 or 15 of them. I done made $45, seventh grade, $45. You can go to $2 show. You can buy all the snacks you want. Maybe you can buy a fitted hat, depending on if it's on sale. So like, I had that same mentality as a believer now. So now what I was doing, because I was like, I can't dub other people's tapes. That's illegal. Like, I own music, and then I would play the music on the stereo on the way to class. I was walking around like this, and it wasn't no fancy stereo. It was a little thing. It was like a big boom box, but yeah, I would play it. The kids were like, "What is that?" Because the beats, like my rapping had some catching up to do, but the beats always slap. Like I can always look back and be like, "Yo, those beats were dope." Even like I never look back at my beats and be like, "Now I've improved, obviously," but I'm like, "Yo, even back then, like those beats was knocking." So they were buying my tapes. They were buying my demo tapes, for $3. Like, and that's what, that just kept giving me the momentum and the confidence that like, maybe I could do this professionally.
Got you. So, okay. So now that you are getting your feet in the game, did you know about the Christian hip hop industry, or was you feeling like, I'm just doing this ministry thing, I'm just rapping for God? You know what I mean? Did you know about the industry of Christian hip hop, or was it just, I'm just out here doing what God's calling me to do?
Yeah, I think I did know to a certain extent, but like I knew there was a local scene because of the guy that was on the radio, Social. I didn't realize like this station is legendary, but on the grand scheme of things, it was a more like mom and pop, smaller AM, kind of deal. So like, but these rappers were like larger than life to me. So like Social, I'm like, I gotta meet this guy. There was another group, and they came from this pretty big church here called Christ Emmanuel. I forget the other group's exact name because it's similar to like Dynamic Twins, but it was like some twins. And so these two guys, like I wanted to meet Social, meet this group, and then I knew Great Tree. I knew Cross Movement. I would see like Petity's first album in the store, but it didn't dawn on me like there's really a Christian rap industry until I would say Atlanta, like Holy Hip Hop Awards, 2005. Because at this like I'm posting my music on like the message boards. Like there was like Hip Hop Zone, Holy Culture, there's a couple different message boards. So I would go online and I would like post my music, because at this point, like I had dropped 2 albums. I was starting to get a name in the city. So I was traveling like different churches every week. My name was spreading. And then I think because of other rappers like myself, I was like, okay, so I'm from Cincinnati, but then you would see like on Holy Culture, you would see like ADF, you would see Jazz and all these, or I remember I collaborated with the Street Sweepers, and so R Swift was, just getting popping, and Activists and G Wade, and like, so like, I'm starting to learn that there is a Christian rap industry, but I didn't realize how big it was until I got the Holy Hip Hop Awards, and that's when I was really blown away.
Wow. Yeah. So when you came to that, because I remember that like it was yesterday, my first one I went to.
Nice.
And I remember like everybody had they set up, and always for some strange reason going towards the stage, Flavor Fest would be like Pastor Tommy and everybody would have that like corner area. And then they would have like a plethora of artists with Flavor Fest, and then also you had other tables and different people in that. So was like Holy Hip Hop, and you said 2003 was your first Holy Hip Hop Awards? Was that like your first time?
First one I went to was 2005.
Oh, okay.
I was working on 14 to Life at this point. So like, also there was a DJ here. Her name is Kyla, and she was more tapped in nationally than I was, because radio was such a big deal at this time, where like you was trying to get your music played on the radio. So people were sending her albums. You know, Goatee was sending her stuff, and you know, all these different labels. So she was more tapped in. She was like, you need to go to this thing in Atlanta called the Holy Hip Hop Awards. And I had started seeing like Cynthia and Friends on TV. And I would like, so I kind of was putting it all together, like, oh, like, cause it was like, I would see like Platinum Souls, Ken Jones, but I didn't know who these people were exactly. I was just like, wow, Cynthia and Friends, she's playing Brent Jones in the d-maub. She's playing all these different music videos. She's playing Grits. She's playing KJ52. And so when Kyla said it, she was like, you need to get down there. I was like, all right, I think I kind of know what this is. That's what made me take it serious. And I was like, all right, I gotta submit. So I submitted, got accepted. And when I got accepted, I was like, all right, it's game time. Like, I heard this thing is huge. Cross Movement was there the previous year. So I was like, I got 1,000 CDs made for this thing. And so it's funny, like I missed a lot of, I was distracted at Holy Hip Hop Awards that first day because my CDs didn't come on time.
Wow.
Like the CDs didn't come on time. My brother tracked them down. They sent them to the wrong address. My now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she hopped on a plane. She put the CDs on the plane as check-in baggage. Brought CDs with her. Like my auntie Shell, who lives in Atlanta, she picked her up. They brought the CDs to Holy Hip Hop, to Earthlink. I didn't sell 1,000 CDs. I didn't know, because I heard like Holy Hip Hop was huge, but I wasn't gonna sell 1,000 CDs huge. But I still I sold like almost 200 CDs.
Oh wow.
And
that was your first time?
That was my first Holy Hip Hop, because I had generated such a name on the message boards.
Got you.
I was building a buzz. My first album dropped in 2001. So this is 4 years. I didn't do a lot of national shows at this point. I was doing a lot of local stuff, but I did rap at like Evangel up in DC area. And R Swift, that's where I met R Swift. So like my name, I was starting to create like a little fan base, low key, because people was mailing me money. Like I had a little website, little free website, and I said like send $12 hidden cash or money order check. And I still have a lot. I kept them. Like I have all these envelopes. Of course, the addresses are old, but like people sending me letters. I mean, I've sold hundreds of CDs this way. And being at Holy Hip Hop was kind of like this hub that brought a lot of different people from different cities. I just think like I undervalued like how many people were looking to meet me at this thing. So even though I performed almost dead last night one, nobody saw me hardly, like maybe 20 people, which was the more disappointing thing. I was selling CDs day one just because people were like, oh my goodness, this K-Drama, like he's here. I wasn't selling them off of the performance, because like I said, like 30 people in the crowd. It's like 1 a.m. They put me towards the end. But my set, I mean, I rapped like it was 10,000 people in the audience. And Marco was like, he came up to me afterwards from Holy Hip Hop. He was like, yo, that was really good. Too bad not a lot of people were here to see that. And I was kind of like, oh, thanks for rubbing it in. But I didn't realize who this guy was. Like I was like, so he's like, yo, what if you rap tomorrow night and we put you in an earlier slot?
Wow.
And I was like one of the only artists who rapped both nights. So like I remember I like went right before Light the Flow Minister, rapped. I'm piped up. I mean, I killed it. And then that's when Holy Hip Hop was like, because I knew they put out the compilation albums. They had put out Volume 1, Volume 2. And then they're like, yo, how about we put Valley View Avenue on Volume 3? And then I was like, that's when things started to change for me, because that was EMI.
Wow. Yeah.
And they were like, yo, we want to sign you to Holy Hip Hop. And I'm like, all right, let's. So,
and
yeah.
then that's when Let 'Em Bang. I had that album. Beyond the Glory. I had that album.
Yeah.
Very good album. Loved that album. Was
Yeah.
that the time when you were like going from your independent grind to now? Because Holy Hip Hop was signed to EMI Gospel, if I'm not mistaken, like you just said. So what was that like, signing to a platform like that and like getting like going from indie grind to now sign kind of grind? You know what I mean?
So what's funny is it felt very much like nothing changed. Except I had a couple dollars behind me. It wasn't like I didn't get an advance.
Got you.
But and the reason why I didn't feel like much change was because I was so used to making my beats out of necessity and just that grind, and like just thinking about my first concert. I got 45 minutes. I need to get 45 minutes worth of material. My family, just always, just not having enough, making below poverty level. I think all of those instincts kicked in for me trying to make this album. So I'm like, the only difference was now I was able to get some beats from Tony Stone.
Yeah.
In Theory Has It, but everything else was still like the same. So I'm because my car was broke down. I remember I was catching a bus to Theory Has His house, and he lived in Cincinnati, but he was like on the outskirts of Cincinnati. So he almost lived in Dayton, which was
wow.
drive, not on the bus line. So I used to it was like a 2-hour bus ride.
Wow.
And that's just one way, mind you. But what I used that time to do was I would write all my songs on the bus. I even say it on one of the songs. I think I say it on the title track. Like, I wrote most of this album on a bus, and so like I was really getting it out the mud with Holy Hip Hop, and like he like Theory Has It really did so much to make that album what it is. And then like we found, like, I think we recorded like 20 tracks, and then Holy Hip Hop was like only 12 are going to go on the album, and then my 12 was not their 12 at all.
Wow.
I wonder if I can find like the original, like what I thought Behind the Glory was, what story was I trying to tell. And I listened back to the album, and I think it's great. But a lot of the songs that didn't make the cut, that I was like, why ain't this make the cut? Like, I had a couple songs. Y'all wild for this. I ended up putting them on a mixtape called Road to Glory that I used to promote Behind the Glory. And so, like it. And then, like, even afterwards, like once the album dropped, I didn't see, like, we're good, Holy Hip Hop and I, but like just the way I didn't understand the business, like label business. So like, I don't know if it was just the accounts receivables were taking longer than they should have, or just being in a couple label situations, like you don't get paid. It's not a net 30. It's not, so like, I survived off of selling beats. I survived off of, because I was selling beats at this point. I survived off of all my indie albums prior to that. I'm doing shows, but a lot of that was just me and everything I had built up to that point. And had I like not been a producer and a rapper, I don't think I would have survived Behind the Glory. Like, money, it was just too much of a gap. Plus, I had my first child. At this point, and Sade and I weren't married yet. So like that was a whole nother thing, that there was like a shame level with that. There, because I'm a Christian rapper and I had a child out of wedlock kind of deal. So like I'm just navigating all these different things. Of course, I need a car. It's not cute anymore to just be a rapper. Like I need to stable income. So I got a job, which ended up working out because it actually I ended up writing music for my job. So it's just kind of nuts how that worked out. But like it really caused me to be more responsible. I had to mature a little bit. So that helped too. Like, but like the music almost at that time became secondary, but because through God's help, like I had built this thing, I think I didn't realize how big it was.
Got you.
Everything's gonna work out. I just didn't know like how it was gonna work out because Holy Hip Hop, how they would send me boxes of CDs instead of they didn't send me like a check. You know, I'm selling all these albums in the stores, but then instead of getting checks, I'm getting boxes of CDs, like boxes of like I'm talking about like 500 CDs, 1,000 CDs would just randomly show up on my doorstep. And then once I sold those, I could just keep it. I didn't have to pay them back. But it was almost like they were paying me with more work. But because I'm a hustler, I'm like, oh, it ended up working out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like looking back, I'm like, you know, I had to kind of sell twice, it felt like. But like I said, Holy Hip Hop and I are good. So I don't look back at that like, man, that was janky. I think it's just maybe they were trying to survive too, you know, accounts receivables and you know, delayed payments, royalties, because you got to think streaming wasn't really a thing yet. We had like iTunes. That was part of the allure of getting signed as well, was like you couldn't. CD Baby was just starting to do like digital distribution, but you had to have distribution to get on iTunes rather than you just go direct through a DistroKid or whatever. So it was different times.
Wow, man, that's an amazing story, man. That's an amazing story about the business and like how it reflects your personal life and what was going on and everything. But even at that time, like you got good placement. You started getting placements. You started getting, as a producer, you were getting placements. You're getting the placements with Lecrae, with the Flames, with all these other people. How did those come about? Like, how did those different placements come about for you, like as a producer?
Yeah, I can't make this stuff up, man. Like it's literally all proximity. So being in Cincinnati, I don't know, like God brought he just put me in the perfect place. So my wife at the time, like when I first met her, I remember how I met my wife was I rapped at her church. It was for Vacation Bible School. So I was there the whole week. I wrote a song for VBS for all the kids to learn. So kindergarten through 12th grade, everybody had to learn the same song. And so like it was really cool. And then my wife and I, we hit it off. But then a few weeks later, she was leaving for camp. And so she's like, yeah, I'm going to this camp. It's called KA, Kids Across America. And I'm like, okay. I had never heard of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like she goes away to camp, her and all the youth from her church. And she comes back and she's like, yeah, there's this rapper. That one of the kids who went, you should meet him. He raps. So like we hit it off. But then another older youth from a little older than us, he loved the camp so much that he became a camp director. He was a counselor. So bringing all that back, so like I remember I worked with this group who also went to KAA. They were coming up with this dance routine. They're playing this song. I never heard the song before in the world. It's like it's got all these synths. It sounds different than anything I've ever heard. And he's like crossover from death to life and that. Like, okay, I like this. You can find me in the church. Like, I don't, like. So then I'm starting to put all the pieces together. I'm like, oh, this Lecrae. Okay, he's like, KAA, and I'm not realizing he's writing songs for the camp, because years later I ended up mixing some of Flame. Flame would write. I got a bunch of unreleased Flame songs on my hard drive that he wrote for KAA.
Wow,
they're dope too. So anyway, the camp counselor hits me up and it's like, yo, you want to come 4th of July weekend In rap, it'll be you, Lecrae, Trip Lee, and Tadashi. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yes, thank you very much. So I got on a Greyhound, rode to Branson. Man, I'll never forget opening. And they came, all three of them came up to me afterwards, just like, yo, that was dope. That was crazy. But they were like, who does your beats? I'm like, I make most of the beats you heard me perform to, I made. And they're like, oh, we gotta talk. That's what Lecrae said. Because I met Lecrae a year earlier at GMA week. So like 2005, I went everywhere. I went to Holy Hip Hop January. I went to GMA in March. I went to Texas, Houston Hip Hop Achievement Award, whatever. It was a longer name, but like that was super dope. Went there in June. I went to Rat Fest in August in New York, and then I went to Flavor Fest. I did all of that in 05.
Wow.
I was grinding like nobody's business. So I met Lecrae, and then my name started kind of getting around. Because I did like Flavor Fest and Fanatic. I opened for Fanatic at that. I opened for Shaolin at Rat Fest. So it was like I'm starting to meet people. I'm putting all the dots. And for Lecrae, like when he was like, we got to talk, like, because there was already a little history there. Like you know, he had told me he used to listen to my music on SoundClick during the SoundClick days because he was like, you had that South sound, you had that Southern sound, like he liked Big Steve for that. So that kind of caught me off guard. So like, yeah, I ended up sending him like 5 beats. I sent him an email, just one email, 5 beats, and he got paper, just first email. Like I was, and every person I produced for was not the same, because Flame was the opposite. Like Flame, now the reason why I know Flame is because Crystal, his wife, is from Cincinnati, of all places.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, what in the world? So like she was, at first she dated a Christian rapper. That's how we all knew her. Yeah. And then they went their separate ways. And then like we had heard she was dating this Christian rapper, but we didn't know she was dating Flame. Like, we're like all the people, you know. Yeah. So she always would put on for us. Like she loved Cincinnati. She loved the Christian rap scene. And so I think Flame was like, he always kind of looked out for me, even like before we were collaborating musically. Yeah. He even wrote a review for Behind the Glory. So like I would put that review on my flyers that I passed out. And then I asked him one day if I could send him some beats. I had sent him some beats in the past, but just didn't get anywhere with them. And then, and I didn't mention this, but the apartment that I lived in, the guy who lived in that apartment before me, he was a Christian rapper as well. He was leaving to do an internship. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this internship. I'm doing an internship at Cross Movement. Oh, what? Oh, wow, that's cool. So right? He is an A&R director at Cross Movement. And so like there was just all this like stuff happening to where like there was just no choice but for me to be in the mix. And then I sent Flame these beats. And then that's when he picked Hold On out of that batch. So he only picked Hold On, but then Jason heard Hold On, was like, yo, I need a beat like Hold On. So I was trying to make him all these beats. Jason is super picky. Like I got PTSD from trying to produce for him, man. And but you need people like that who, I think he was one of the people that really helped me level up production wise, trying to do my best. And so yeah, I actually had got a placement. Well, I got a couple little placements. He used my beats for like interludes and stuff. but like I did a beat for him, and Flame heard the beat and liked it so much that he asked Jay Son if he could have the beat. That ended up becoming all gonna pass. So that was like an indirect placement, and they were kind of racking up, and and then Show Baraka, like he had got the instrumental from Air Jordan from Wade O. I had no clue because I was doing stuff with Alex Faith, and before people knew who he was, because he was a fan of mine. He would just post on message boards on Hip Hop for the Soul. Y'all had our own message board. I had a This Click one. He would always post on there. And I didn't know who Alex Faith was. He was just a young kid at the time. I didn't realize he was going to be who he was. But yeah, I didn't know he was like becoming an engineer and all these things. And so I guess Show Baraka was recording with him at the time. And then he had recorded this Air Jordan remix. And that's when I got wind of that. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then we ended up turning that into, he wanted to do a Kobe Bryant remix with me on it and put it on as a bonus track for Lions and Liars. So that's kind of how all these different ones, they all got stories, bro. Like word of mouth. Like some of it was word of mouth, but most of it was just different connections with different people, like just through Cincinnati or whatnot.
Yeah. So I've heard a story. I don't know how true this is, but I just wanted you to clarify. Was it a time where you did something at Flavor Fest? Derek had a set at Flavor Fest and he put you on it?
So actually, that was Lecrae.
Oh, Lecrae. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
There's a video on YouTube of this. So actually, that's where I met Derek, because Derek, this was still pro era, but I was working with Derek when he had some other artists on. It wasn't even RMG yet. It was it was the label before that, and he had a couple. He had Andale. He had another guy, I forgot his name, but I was doing beats for them because I was talking to Doc Watson a lot. So I did a lot of stuff. He gave me my first Pro Tools. Doc Watson gave me my first Pro Tools license. He had an extra one. He gave it to me because I didn't have Pro Tools yet, and so we had just met for the first time in person.
Gotcha. Okay.
Flavor Fest, this was 2008, and Lecrae, I had sent him Boom Baptism because I was just trying to get feedback, and because everybody was telling me like Air Jordan's the song. I didn't know Air Jordan was Air Jordan. I had another song. I had this song called Show and Tell. I thought Show and Tell was about to be that. Well, hey, I'm still gonna put it out just as a unreleased, but that beat was crazy. I'm like, yo, this Show and Tell joint about to do numbers. But so I would perform it though, and it kind of was like, it's cool. It's not bad, but it just didn't get the reaction I thought it would. And I would do this Air Jordan joint, and it had a different beat at the time. So it wasn't even the Air Jordan you hear now, but I had another beat to it. And I would perform it, and people was like, yo, that Air Jordan. Like Sean Slaughter, I remember I would do Believe His House in Virginia. He's like, yo, son. Man, that Air Jordan, man, that's the one. They kept telling me that. And I was like, all right. So then when I sent Boom Baptism to because DJ Essence from Lamp Mode mastered it. When I got the master back from him, I sent it to Lecrae. Cause I was trying to get signed to Reach. I wasn't trying to get signed to Reach. And I was doing a lot of stuff with Reach too. And I think in life, I think I would have been a Reach artist. I think when I signed with Cross Movement, I think it was a year earlier. I think I would have been a Reach artist. Cause just the way there's just different things. But anyway, I sent Boom Baptism to Lecrae. And he was like, yeah, this is nice. And he gave me this review, and he was like, yeah, Air Jordan the one. And then he was like, yo, if you're gonna be down at Flavor Fest, I'll let you close out my set with that. And
wow.
And that, bruh, man, Flavor, it was because I had already did Flavor. At this point, you got to think I've been to Flavor Fest every year.
Yeah.
At this point, even if I didn't perform, because R Swift did this too. Because 05, I was I was an artist like officially in Flavor Fest.
Yeah.
But then 06, because you got to do every other year. But I love Flavor Fest so much. I was like, man, I'm just gonna go. Like, I don't care if I'm not rapping. Like, I just want to be there. But then R. Swift was headlining, one of the headliners, and You Can Get It was out at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like, yo, let's do You Can Get It. Like, it could just be me and you. Like, I know Thizzle won't be there or Ruddy, but we could still do it. And so there's a video of that, man. That joint was so fire. They had us do it twice. It was run it back. Like, we was in the this is when Flavor Fest first started doing two rooms. We were like on a smaller stage. I remember Willie Wills in the back, like he was so crunk. Like it was crazy. And then then I came back 07, did Flavor Fest, but then 08, I was just coming again, kind of to promote Boom Baptism, but just to be in the mix.
Yeah.
And then that's when Lecrae was like, yeah, let's do Air Jordan. And if you see the video, it's kind of grainy, but you got Lecrae on the stage, Tadashi, Sho Baraka, I think Swift was on stage, somebody else, man. And the crowd was just going crazy because they ain't really heard Air Jordan yet. It like just dropped. Like I had dropped it on the South. And then like Z made a video that kind of started getting some traction. Like he just put a highlight reel to the song. And I didn't really know the impact of YouTube, so I wasn't really focusing on that. But yeah, that joint took off, man. And Flavor Fest kind of showed me like, oh snap. Like I think Lecrae giving me that like cosign really helped Air Jordan to do what it did. Like,
wow, that's crazy, bro. Did you know that all these remixes was like that's the first viral sensation record in Christian hip hop? Like honestly, I can't remember a viral record where every Christian rapper was jumping on it. You know, I remember Ric Flair on them. I think somebody else had I don't know if somebody had a LeBron on them, but I know that I remember
on them. Like,
I just remembered so many people doing remix to it, and I was like, this is unheard of in this space, because a lot of people were still rapping over, like you did, say rapping over secular beats or whatever the hottest beat was. But for that was like a moment in time that you can go back and say, yo, I was going viral like in Christian hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was nuts, man. Like I definitely did not see that coming, because when I wrote the song, I think in my brain, I didn't realize like I chose a subject that is so interchangeable. Like I'm a big fan of Jordan, but then you had younger cats who saw Jordan like at his tail end. They saw LeBron, like LeBron was Jordan to them. So they're like, I feel what he's saying, but I feel this way about LeBron, or I feel this way about Michael Irvin, or I feel this way about Mike Tyson. Like it was just getting TD Jakes on them. I mean, it was all these different remixes. Pastor 83 did that one. That was crazy. And so like, I didn't. So what happened at first? Here's how it went down. There was a guy who from Atlanta, I believe he's from Atlanta, somewhere down, maybe South Carolina. His name, I think it was like Loon. It started with an L, but he used to put out so much stuff. I forget his name, but it was him and his partner, Young Samaj, I think his rap name is. They were the first ones to do a remix. Like they hit me like, yo, can we just get the beat? We're gonna do our Air Jordan remix. And I was like, yeah, no worries. Like, cool, that would be dope. I didn't think nothing of it. So then, actually, the second person that hit me up was Frontliners. It was
wow.
What can I think of his Dre Murray and oh, he gonna kill me. Cause we used to aim chat each other back in the day, which is crazy. And I didn't know he was gonna blow up, be mixing everybody's stuff, and make Wit. So
Wit
hits me up. Wit is like, yo, we need that Air Jordan beat. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I got you. Sent them the beat. They did a Frontline. Of course, the Frontliners was cracking. Cause Can't Break Us was out. So like that was They had a lot of momentum. I mean, Frontliners I remember when Frontliners rapped at Rap Fest and they were a big group. Anyway, so then Sho Baraka drops the bomb. That's when, so a lot of the remixes we see were a result of Kobe Bryant on them. Because the first two were Air Jordan remixes.
Yeah.
Then he did Kobe Bryant on them. And that's when everybody started hitting me up like, yo, let me get the beat. And then it just got to a point where the beat was just out there and just people like, cool. Lisa Leslie on them. I mean, there are so many of them. I mean, I know at least of 100 of them. I can sit down and write down like 100, but there are so many. Like, people tell me all the time, like, yeah, I did an Air Jordan remix. I never put it out. I just did it. I just recorded it.
Wow.
It was like, because you got to think, people still going to the studio.
Yeah.
To record. So like a lot of people was just paying for studio time just to record this Air Jordan song. Like, it wasn't like doing a challenge where like you just pull out your phone and record it like a duet or whatever. Like, it was.
Yeah.
I think that really meant a lot to me to know like people really spent hours from writing the song to going to the studio to putting it out. And there's several Air Jordan remixes that I hopped on. Like, people, there was a step on one, me, Q-Heem the Redeemed, and another artist. He paid me to be on this song, and then he dropped it on Spotify, and I would get residuals from it. And so like, it was really cool. Like, and of course, at the end of the day, I just was grateful people wanted to do it. And I want to do a documentary. I want to do an Air Jordan documentary because like that song, man, like that could be a whole 2-hour thing itself. Just amazing. I'm just so like God, like, yeah, the way God gave me that song, like, I'm just like, thank you, Lord, for entrusting me with that, and thank you for everything it's done. And I mean, it still does a lot of things, and I'm really grateful, for that era.
Man, you should redo it again.
Yep.
Not redo it again, but you should do a challenge on TikTok for it. The Air Jordan challenge.
Yeah.
And then put the beat out. Because anytime you put a challenge out, rappers get to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I definitely would share it and everything, but I think that's just nostalgia for our space, because I think so many people use that beat. Like, I just remember that like it's yesterday, and we were track stars at the time. We were doing a radio show somewhere. I can't remember where we were at the time when we came out, and I remember yours was fire. I love the record. But when Sho did it, he started doing so many punchlines in that joint that we were like, oh, like he was saying, he was on some crazy stuff, and it was so dope, man. I was like, man, this thing is going crazy, and then it just went crazy and crazy. And to me, you know what it did? It really brought pride to Christian hip hop. Like, when I mean pride, I mean like, this is ours, and we're gonna get behind us. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a Millie, you know what I mean? Everybody rapped over a Millie beat. It was like Air Jordan is homegrown, and it was ours, and everybody was rapping on it. Yeah, because it was hot. It was a hot record. You know what I mean? Still is.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I gotta do it when I feel it, because I've been wanting to do it. There's different moments where I was like, 10-year anniversary, or now 20, like, or 15 or whatever. I'm just like, it feels gimmicky right now, but I do want to do it. I just gotta, I want to do it right. And then, it's funny, even I'm gonna say this, but so there was an artist, I think it was before he blew up, but it was, I want to say it was Ace Hood who did an Air Jordan remix. I cannot find it. I remember this guy sending it to me, because then he ended up coming out with Hustle Hard, and he's doing stuff with DJ Khaled. And it's just like, I never thought about it from that perspective, like something that was ours. To where like, now the world wants to do what we're doing. so many years, it was like you said, us rapping to, you know, worldly rappers, instrumentals, and
Yeah.
and it was for so long. It was, man, our Christian rap is good, but is the quality as good as in the world? And of course, now it's on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like we were. I think a lot of us had that identity crisis between G. Craig Lewis and then the world saying we're not good enough. And you know, you think about that song. Speaking of Show Baraka, like "Can't Shut Us Down."
Yeah.
Like the church thinks we're too street think we too churchy. And so yeah, like I'm honored like that song meant so much to so many people, because of course it meant something to me. I want to put it out otherwise, but I really could not have forecasted that at all. Like that song changed my life. You know, I was able to quit my job, like, you know, after that, like any like cross movement, all that stuff, like getting on people's radars, like that song solidified me in a way like that nothing else had up to that point.
Yeah, man, that would be so dope, man. I would love to see the new generation either do something with it, or like how does that work? Because I mean, that document, bro, if you do a legit documentary about that song, so many people from the culture will be on it. I mean, like you said, Lecrae would be on it. Different people will be talking about how that song like just spread over our space like crazy, man.
Yeah. I'm like trying to get some funding right now. If I had enough, I would get Will Thomas to do it, like or somebody on that level to like really film it, make it right, fly people in or go to people. Yeah. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's dope, bro. Man, you got so much story, bro. I'm like, I want to hold you forever. I do want to ask you one more thing we asked before before I get to your this or that. What is, like, how did you get signed to the movement? Like, because at that time, cross movement was, I mean, I think I would say the second leg when they started signing like you, Young Josh, Level 316. Like how was that time, bro?
It was I was honored, but also it was a little sobering. Just because cross movement was is so iconic. Like, I mean, I can separate. I think I separate, as a lot of us do. We separate the ministry from the label. We separate the group from the label. So, like, when you think of the cross movement group and all the trails they blaze, and I mean, I could hear a cross movement song now and lose it. Like, those songs just meant so much to me and a lot of people. I was trying to get on cross movement for a while, especially when my friend moved down to Philly. I was like, all right, that's my in. Or Swift, when I got on You Can Get It, because at first he was signed with d-maub, but then he signed with Cross Movement and re-released the record. So I was like, all right, I'll get on that way. Of course, produced for Flame, and I'm like, maybe I can get on that way. But I think what it was at the time, Christian rap was dealing with the whole, you know, are you Calvinist, or like, are you, all these different things? And not everybody was like, everybody on cross movement didn't identify as that. But I think a lot of what I think, and I say this with love, but like I think a lot of I was a unique situation, because maybe doctrinally people didn't agree with everything I was saying, or maybe people didn't feel like I didn't plant my flag enough. I did hear that from different people. They didn't know what I was rocking with, because I was a little more generic, even though I didn't feel like I was. I'm like, if you read the Bible to my music, like you could hear the scripture all over it, but that's another story. But like, I think because my beats were so dope, I think people were like, well, we can't, like, we want to work with them. So like a lot of guys was working with me more as a producer than a rapper. Like, so like, so Baraka had me on Kobe Bryant on him. That meant so much to me. Because it wasn't about like doctrinally if I'm going to represent well. It was more like, yo, he's dope. Like let's just have them on. And so I think with cross movement, like, because I was trying to get, I think like, I was trying to get on Reach, and I had talked to Lecrae, and we had our discussion, and it was cool. Like it made sense. Yeah. And like I was gonna work with them in a different capacity, but just not as an artist. And so then that was fine. Wow. I was cool with that. So then the other situation was like people were leaving cross movement as I was getting there, and I'd already started catching wind. Like I knew like JR left, I knew Swift left. But I thought Flame was still on cross movement. So like when I got to cross movement and he was gone, I was like, oh man, like wait a minute. Like, oh, like, I didn't realize like I was gonna be like I say this very like as humbly as I can. Like I think considering everything that was going on with Air Jordan and all these things, like I think I was being brought on to be like the flagship artist to carry the torch from like what they were doing, because Volume, like, because We Fit was the best-selling album from, and not that it's all about numbers, but like We Fit was, if you're talking Billboard and all that performed the best sales wise out of all the records that came out 2010 and up. Wow. So like, and I remember Thizzle saying it to me. Thizzle was like, if I were you, I would just keep going the way you're going. Like you got a lot of traction. You don't really need a label. But the thing was, like, at that time, I didn't know Canon Rebels and all these, we were at a crossroads technology wise where like, if I would have waited a few years, like I would have realized like, oh, I can do all this myself. I didn't shoot a video for Air Jordan because the quote I got was 20 grand. I'm like, I don't got 20 grand for a music video. I'm like, what do? I signed with the label who was hiring the guy, and maybe they weren't paying 20 grand. Like, I learned that, hindsight's 2020. So yeah, from that perspective, I think like I was like, maybe if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have. But so many good things, even with the challenges I've had with cross movement, like I look back and I'm like there are so many ways still to this day. I mean, people still think I'm like, you got some cats who are kind of out of touch with Christian rap. So like they don't know what they don't know. Like they don't follow the industry part of it. So like they still think they still think I'm signed to cross movement. And they're like, cross movement. So I mean, the brand, the name cross movement, even though like maybe in the digital space it doesn't carry as much weight as it once did, like with the younger generation, but like I think overall cross movement carries so much weight because of the legacy it has. And so I'm honored to be associated with that. I still can look at cross movement, and any relationship you have is going to have its ups and downs. And I think it was harder when I was struggling a little more. My family was struggling a little more. I think it was harder to look at those times and be like, man, maybe I made the wrong decision. But I think now that we're in a better spot, I can look at it with a clear view. And I'm like, yo, like cross movement opened so many doors for me. There's so many artists, just like people heard of me because of Holy Hip Hop. There are even more people that heard of me. Their first introduction to me was We Fit. And I'm like, huh. And so it's cool, like, to know like that I had the honor of standing on that platform, and God used it in so many ways. So it was good. And then like it was dope working with John Wells. So like being like, he was very hands-on. He traveled a lot to Cincinnati because Level 316 was in Indianapolis, which is only an hour and a half away from me. So like he was bouncing back and forth. And I remember they had sold their studio, but they had like kept some of the equipment and mailed it to me. Like they let me use the Newman $2,000 mic, and like just all these things I had access to. So yeah, so it was a cool. I think that experience I felt more like I was signed to a label than when I was with Holy Hip Hop. And so yeah, I'm grateful that I got to go through that.
Got you. Bro, thank you so much, man. And it's even more stuff I could be talking to you about, but for the sake of time. But bro, thank you so much, man. Hey man, you ready for your this or that? You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So remember, man, if you can't choose, just show the love of God to somebody this week. All right. So here we go. K-Drama, this or that. Fago or Big Red?
Fago.
Okay. Yep. Over the Rhine block party or Lincoln Heights cookout?
Lincoln Heights cookout for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. A black-owned coffee shop in Walnut Hills or a food truck at Washington Park?
Oh my goodness. Whoa. Let's see. Yeah, I'll say coffee shop.
Coffee shop? Okay, dope. Who would you rather see win a championship? The Reds or the Bengals?
Bengals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Producing Got Paper for Lecrae or producing Make War for Tadashi?
Oh, that's tough. Ooh, I plead the fifth. They're both. I can't. They're both so dope. Oh man, nope, won't do it.
Okay, that's fine. Air Jordan being remixed in CHH or Lecrae giving you that shine to do it at Flavor Fest?
I gotta choose the people. Yeah, but one wouldn't happen without the other. So that's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, I'm grateful for the cosign, but the people, if I could have it. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Threat to society or nonfiction beneath the surface?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Threat. I think about Threat more than Nine, even though Nine is more polished.
Yeah. Got you. Yeah. Okay. Signing with CMR or Holy Hip Hop EMI Gospel?
Oh. Wait a minute. Cross movement, but barely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This Click Records or Playwright Music?
These are tough. Wow, you did your homework. I would say Playwright, because Playwright was more productive. This Click could have been. It had potential.
Got you. Yep. All right, man. Our final one. Are you a Christian rapper or a rapper who's Christian?
Dang. I would have answered this differently, like just depending on what year. I'm definitely more Christian rapper. Like,
got you.
I'll die on that hill. But I don't persecute people as much now who are like I'm a rapper that's Christian, because I get it now that I'm in some of these spaces. Yeah.
Got you.
Ooh, that was
Mr. K-Drama. Give everybody your socials, man. Give everybody how they can reach out to you, bro. Yeah, man. Just plug away.
What you got going on? So I would say I'm probably most active on Instagram. So if you like trying to reach out to me, K-Drama513. I usually post things there first. I have 3 Facebook pages. They're all me. Because I started Facebook back when it was more just for college students. So I have 3 pages. One's a band page and 2 are personal, but I'm on all 3 of them. So if you add me as a friend, I'll add you back. If you follow me and then you message me on like my K-Drama one, that's probably the least one I check, but I do message back on that as well. Twitter, I'm on Twitter. I like Twitter actually. A lot of people like left X, but at K-Drama513 on there. TikTok, I think is K-Drama513. I think that's how you get to it. And then but like I'm on most of the socials. I'm on Threads, K-Drama513. But yeah, I would say the main ones are Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if you're trying to like reach out. And then I do post a lot of. I'm about to post more long form content on YouTube right now. I just kind of repost my shorts from TikTok and Instagram, but you could subscribe on YouTube. I think it's K-Drama 513. And then if you're like interested in like music production education or like hearing maybe like breakdowns of albums, if I ever do this Air Jordan documentary, it'll go on YouTube. So definitely holla at me on there. So there you have it.
Thank you so much, bro, man. That was going down memory lane. And he is still out there producing heat. If you're an artist out there that's looking for some quality music, quality sounds, he could get you right. So check out him, K-Drama Music, for production and everything like that. So Kingdom Citizens, remember Kingdom Ox on all social media platforms, and we are out.